Welcome back to CW&D. Today we are continuing our custom cabinet build by transforming these 3/4 inch 1x8 maple boards into finished face frames. You'll see how we cut, assemble, and finish our face frames, and by the end of the video, you'll have the confidence to try these steps in your own projects. Let's dive in. Alright, we are starting the process of making our face frames by ripping down our maple boards to rough size. These cabinets, we want a final width of 1 7/8", so we'll rip our boards down to 1 15/16", adding just an extra 1/16 of an inch here. This slight oversizing allows us to clean up the saw curve marks later on with our planer, ensuring a nice, precise, and smooth finish. Next, we cut the boards to rough lengths based on our face frame layout. These cuts don't need to be exact yet, but they make the pieces more manageable and give us a chance to lay everything out. Laying out the rough cut pieces ahead of time helps us visualize the final face frame, ensures we're fully prepared to move on to the next step. So now that we have our boards ripped to rough size, the next step is to go ahead and plane them all down to remove all of our saw kerf marks or any burns that the saw may have left behind. Here we are using our DeWalt handheld planer. We'll just set this to the lowest possible setting, and a few light passes here is all it takes to clean up the boards and get them ready for assembly. In this clip, the original audio didn't pick up very well, but here I was explaining, to determine our final rail measurement, we start by setting our two stiles side by side. Since this cabinet will be 36 inches wide, we add a 1/2 inch because we want a 1/4 inch overhang on both sides of our cabinet box. Using our two stiles side by side, we measure out 36.5 inches to the far stile. Then, simply looking at the tape measure on our far side of the second stile, we can read it says 32 3/4 inches, our final cut measurement. When cutting our rails, we like to cut both pieces at the same time to ensure they're exactly the same length. If we have any inner frame pieces that match this measurement, we'll cut those now and set them aside. Once the rails are cut, we move over to the Craig table to drill 2 pocket holes on each end. These pocket holes are how we'll secure the frame during assembly. Now let's move on to putting it all together. With our boards prepped, we can start assembling the outer frame. This step sets the foundation for the entire face frame, so it's important to make sure everything is flush and securely joined. We carefully position the face frame, applying wood glue to the joints, and fasten them together using our 1¼ inch pocket hole screws, checking for accuracy and making sure everything is staying flush as we go. Once assembled, the outer frame will give us a solid base to build the rest of our face frame on the inside. Alright, now that we have completed our outer frame, we can go ahead and move on to the inner frame pieces. So each project's a little bit different on these. Just depends on where your shelves land as well as your drawers and how many of them you're going to have on each face frame. So for us, for any of our shelves, we like to leave about a 1/4 inch lip above that piece of plywood. And then for our drawers, we just have a set measurement that we kind of use. It's about 5 1/4 for any of our top drawers, and about anywhere from 8 to 9 inches for bottom drawers. To ensure accuracy, we like to use spacer blocks here between the pieces. It helps maintain a consistent drawer opening as well as a perfect alignment. These spacer blocks keep everything in place as we secure our joints. Once everything is set, the inner frame is solid and ready for the final touches. With our whole face frame now complete, we'll go ahead and move on to our finishing steps. First, we use natural colored wood putty to fill any of the gaps or imperfections in the joints. Once it's dry, we sand it smooth using 100 grit sandpaper to start. We will use 120 grit sandpaper later on after our face frames are installed on the cabinet boxes. To remove any of the sharp edges on the inside of the face frames, we use a 1/16 inch roundover bit. This gives the frame a nice softened edge, ensuring it's not only smooth to the touch, but also looks more refined. After a final round of sanding, the face frame is now ready to be installed. Alright, with our whole face frame now complete, we are ready to install it onto our cabinet box. We're using the pocket holes that we drilled in a previous video to attach the face frame to the cabinet box. I like to start in one of the bottom corners, placing a 1/2 inch spacer block along the bottom and a 1/4 inch spacer on the side. This ensures that we have an overhang along the sides and the bottom of the cabinet, and it should leave us flush at the top of our cabinet box. Once it's all lined up, I fasten the first screw, and from there, I work my way along the bottom using that 1/2-inch spacer block, securing the screws, and then I move to the sides and finish up with any center pieces of plywood, if there are any. And that's how we create our face frames from raw materials. We've covered the entire process from prepping our boards to final install. If you have any questions or thoughts, just go ahead and drop those down below. That's all we have for today's video. If you found this helpful, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of our future upcoming projects. Click right here if you want to see how we built our cabinet boxes, or click right here if you want to see our full shop setup. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.